Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I'm here in lockdown Boulder Creek, California. I had planned on doing a show earlier today with Robbie Yeager. We talked about that for a little bit. Robbie had a family emergency. Everything's cool, but he did have to reschedule, and we're going to pick it up sometime either over the weekend or early next week. However, that doesn't mean that shit doesn't happen and we don't have a reason to talk about it. So couple of things that I wanted to go over. The case against Michael Flynn has been dropped, dismissed. Now, what that means in the long run versus what the kind of hay is being made out of it are two very, very different things. So we could kind of take a minute to go through that. And Josh, if you can pull the Flynn article. Okay, there it is. Sorry, I'm looking at it on a delay. Let's see. In court documents filed Thursday, the Justice Department said that after reviewing newsly disclosed information and other materials, it agreed with Flynn's lawyers that his interview with the FBI should never have taken place because his contacts with the Russian ambassador were entirely appropriate. Now, remember, guys, this all goes back to the Mueller report and the conspiracy theory that has been shoved down everyone's throats for nearly 4 years now, and that them Russians, those no good Reds, were colluding with the Trump administration to, hack freedom and steal an election. Michael Flynn was an incoming national security advisor. It kind of makes sense that he would want to reach out to other countries prior to stepping into his role, especially countries that we were having tensions with. That doesn't mean that I think Flynn's a nice guy. It means I don't think that he was doing anything necessarily illegal. The right, of course, is making serious political hay about this, and the Democrats are using it as some kind of like proof that Bob Barr is crooked. Not that you need to go very far to find proof that Bob Barr is crooked. Bill Barr is crooked. But in this particular case, I gotta say, I think it's on point. We know that the FISA courts are bullshit. We know that this was a politically motivated, I hate to borrow a phrase from Trump, but witch hunt. But here's the thing. At no point is the dismissal of this case and the obvious chagrin that the Democrats have and the people who have supported Robert Mueller, of all fucking people, have about this. The FISA courts are going to continue. We're still going to have that illegal process. Secret grand juries are still going to be convened. That's still going to happen. The absolutely dystopian expansion of the surveillance state, which is something that we're going to get to here in a moment, is still going to go on. What we do have is a really good way to steal an entire news cycle. So rather than that be the focus of this particular update from me, I'm going to move on as quickly as humanly possible. I want to see if there's anything that I want to get to about this. And no, not really. Flynn pled guilty to, I believe, lying. And that's it. Like, that's the whole fucking case. It also has a lot of common ground with Roger Stone's case, in that what their lies did was, or the fact that what they chose to lie about didn't do anything to strengthen the Mueller report, didn't do anything to strengthen the case against Donald Trump, didn't do anything to strengthen the case, or at least in Stone's case, against WikiLeaks, and in fact shot holes in it. So there are a lot of people making hay about this. I do want to talk about it only to let you know that all of the drastically Orwellian shit that we're currently living through is in no way, shape, or form affected by this. I do sometimes kind of get shit thrown at me like, you never talk about, you know, Michael Flynn, you never talk about this in terms of fucking Russiagate, blah, 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 blah. So there, hopefully everybody's satisfied. If not, I, you know, kiss the brownest part of my ass, I guess, is where we're going with that. This is going to be an Ask Me Anything, so if any point during the live stream you have a question you want to throw at me, please go ahead. I will answer them. Are them Russiagates finally over? Fuck no, Jack. No. Russiagate's the gift that keeps on giving, especially as long as we have a fake fucking election with a dementia-riddled serial predator in Joe Biden running against a dementia-riddled serial predator in Donald Trump. Always going to find some political hay to make out of it. None of it is really worth the value of flushing it. I do want to draw some attention to, however, an article that came out of MIT Technology Review. Yesterday morning, I woke up, I was tagged in about 40 different Twitter posts because a 25-minute movie called Plandemic Part 1 had dropped overnight or first thing in the morning. I was getting texts about this all day long. Sam Tripoli like texted me, realized it wasn't going to go through as fast enough as he wanted to yell, so called me just to yell at me about this video. I watched it. Interesting. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I need to do a little bit more digging into exactly the background on the doctor in question. Not that I don't trust her. It's just, you know, I want to know more about what she did, trying to work on an HIV vaccine back in the day. The thing that's interesting to me is that almost immediately the censorship algorithms kicked in. If you've been watching the show for any length of time, you've heard me use the word plandemic. I've said it on the Free Assange Vigils a number of times too. I've used it as a hashtag in Twitter before, because I think it's an accurate description. But scrolling down here a little bit, and this is the MIT Technology Review. This is how they're choosing to frame this whole thing. A 25-minute clip of an upcoming documentary featuring a well-known anti-vaccine conspiracy theorist was viewed millions of times this week on social media. Right off the bat, in this fucking documentary, the interviewer asks the doctor, "Are you an anti-vaxxer?" She says, "No, I'm not," and goes into a full 3-minute explanation of exactly why she is not an anti-vaxxer. It's a little bit weird that they would frame it this way, but, you know, gotta sell the papers. On Thursday, Facebook told reporters that the documentary violated its policies by promoting the potentially harmful claim that wearing a mask can make you ill. According to digital trends, the clip had more than 1.8 million views and 150,000 shares on Facebook. It was also viewed millions of times on YouTube before being removed for violating COVID-19 misinformation policies. What the fucking Ministry of Truth is this shit? Okay, let me read that one more time. According to Digital Trends, the clip had more than 1.8 million views and 150,000 shares on Facebook. It was also viewed millions of times on YouTube before being removed for violating COVID-19 misinformation policies. Now, the thing that they're specifically citing here, wearing a mask can make you ill. I'm going to ask you a question. If you are sick, okay, and you have the mask on, and you are breathing into the mask, does your sick breath have anywhere else to go besides right back in you? That's not making you ill. You're already ill. It's keeping you ill because you are only recirculating air that has an illness in it. On its face is a fucking ridiculous claim, but let's keep reading. How it spread. Anti-vaccine activists have drawn millions of views on social media by promoting COVID-19 conspiracy theories. As we reported earlier, this isn't an accident. Activists are seeking out larger audiences in the middle of a pandemic by using the same techniques that YouTube creators and influencers use to get views. They've sought out interviews with bigger, more mainstream YouTubers, latched onto existing trends, encouraged their fans to amplify their messages, and built presences on every social platform they can find. Renee DiResta, a researcher at the Stanford Internet Observatory, which sounds creepy, who works to combat this type of misinformation, told us this week that if anti-vaccine activists feel they can create content people will find if they search for a specific term, they'll invest the time. Are you fucking kidding me? When copies of Plandemic began to disappear from YouTube, supporters bombarded Twitter with claims that they were being unfairly censored. The documentary subsequently became a trending hashtag on Thursday, driving even more attention, outrage, and media coverage to it. Let's read about the potential harm, shall we? And yeah, you do. By the way, if you haven't watched this, please go ahead and watch it. Absolutely. The potential harm, according to MIT Technology Review, Plandemic, along with other conspiracy-oriented videos, contains several inaccurate claims that could lead people to try ineffective, sometimes dangerous treatments for COVID-19 or encourage people to ignore public health guidelines for staying safe. Julie Mikovits, the anti-vaccine I'm not even going to say that anymore, dude. She says on camera that she's not anti-vaccine. This is fucking bullshit. Told YouTuber Patrick Bet-David in a lengthy conversation last week that a flu vaccine from the mid-2010s is driving the pandemic, that wearing a mask will activate the virus in the body, and that Anthony Fauci should be charged with treason. Some of those claims are repeated in the clip, which itself was supposed to be a teaser for a longer documentary. David Gorski, a surgical oncologist at Wayne State University School of Medicine, who is a well-known expert on medical misinformation, has a thorough rundown debunking the claims here. How to stop it. Let's look at how to stop it. Experts have said that some of the things platforms are trying, such as removing content promoting misinformation or extreme views. Now, we'll get into this in a second. Elevating reliable information in recommendations and search, and providing information boxes on borderline videos or posts that provide authoritative information can help. But platforms like YouTube and Facebook have struggled to enforce these policies quickly enough to prevent videos like Plandemic from being widely shared and viewed anyway. There's another challenge too. Misinformation, particularly health misinformation, thrives when reliable information is scant or unavailable. Is a particular problem in the current pandemic as doctors and scientists are racing to understand a disease that didn't even exist 6 months ago. If conspiracy theorists are behind most of the content relating to specific ideas or search terms, then people Googling those terms out of curiosity will find themselves in an algorithmic tunnel of unreliable sources. Are you fucking kidding me? We've got research going back several years about how Google manipulates its search algorithms to only give you the content that it wants you to see, how you have to go way outside, not just of the search parameters, but outside of Google as a search engine itself, if you want to find information that exists outside of the narrative. The doctor that debunks it is quoted as saying, don't waste your time watching it. Don't waste your time sharing it. Don't waste your time talking about it. I can't believe I'm wasting my time doing this, but I just want to stop getting messages about it. You've got a guy straight up telling you, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. If we are to blind ourselves, if we are to deafen ourselves, if we are to make ourselves mute, do we have any autonomy left that we can cede to the fucking state? That's what I want to know. You gotta be kidding me. Dingo, I always ask a computer tech nerd for medical advice. Are doctors helping to write these algorithms? Sorta. That kind of, if you've been reading any of Whitney Webb's work lately, which you should be, Whitney had a great piece at the beginning of the week, I believe, um, about what's going, or no, it was 2 weeks ago because it was the last time she was on the show, um, about all of the ancillary programs that are getting pushed onto an unsuspecting public as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The phrase the new normal, we need to return to a new normal, we're just trying to get back to whatever a new normal is, has been used in conjunction with another really weird fucking phrase that the Secretary of Defense used. I'm sorry, I just had a little burp there. Called legacy systems. Legacy systems meaning the way that we travel, the way that we educate our kids, the way that we really get our information. Josh hates dead air. I'm sorry about the dead air, guys. This is a quote from the Defense Secretary yesterday. My inclination is not to risk any of the modernization programs, but to go back and pull out more of the legacy programs. This is why, in terms of where we're going to find the money to continue bombing the shit out of brown people and violating the civil and human rights of people all over the planet. We need to invest those dollars into the future. Do you remember when we were talking, Whitney and I were talking about the shift to a post-pandemic police state where transportation itself humans are taken out of that equation, like a fleet of driverless cars and rail to move us from place to place in our own little fucking cattle cars that we have no control over whatsoever. This is one of those things that he's talking about. Another thing that he is talking about is the way that we have school and the way that we educate people going forward. There, just yesterday or the day before, Governor Mario Cuomo announced that he was going to be looking into a partnership with Bill Gates, of course, because you can't fucking turn around anywhere in the madness that is the coronavirus without bumping into Bill Gates and one of his nightmarish fucking ideas. And Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, who is still a partner on the board of Google's parent company and YouTube's parent company, Alphabet. Is that up, Josh, or did I forget to tell you that we were skipping or moving on to the next piece? Okay, great. So from the article in Business Insider, and the reason we're kind of going through like some more mainstream outlets today is because I looked for all of this in independent media and I couldn't fucking find it because everybody's still talking about goddamn Tara Reade. And like, look, I don't want to take away from the pain that that woman has experienced. I will always point out that Joe Biden is a creepy, rapey, fucking just piece of human garbage. But if that's all we're talking about, you can guarantee that some darker shit is going on right under everybody's fucking nose. Governor Andrew Cuomo is seeking help from Bill Gates and former Google CEO Eric Schmidt in reimagining how New York schools, transit systems, and other functions can recover and improve after the pandemic. But New Yorkers, to lawmakers, to teachers, have criticized the move. Good. While Cuomo has said the pandemic could be used as an opportunity to improve New York systems, State Senator Mike Gianaris has said enlisting two tech giants, quote, is not good. This is the fucking writing that they give you at Business Insider. By the way, guys, I'm about to start writing for a couple of different outlets, so hopefully we can give you something else to read besides this dribble. These are not people who should determine for us how best to provide services to everyday New Yorkers. Instead, we should tax them more so people whose job it is to decide state policy can do more to help. Here's there we go. They're fucking jumping around on me. Gates will help the state reimagine its education systems, building on remote learning, and Schmidt will work separately on improving infrastructure and systems like broadband access and telehealth. Remember about a month ago when I came to you guys with the story that Palantir was partnering with the British National Health Service to come up with these tracking apps that would let you know if you were sick or not, and basically more snitch apps in order to glean as much information about you as possible and then determine whether or not you were any sort of dissident or outlier so you could be rounded up. This is essentially what we're looking at with here. Although instead of with our own health, it is now how we educate our children and how we get from place to place. Let's see, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has previously worked with New York State on education initiatives, but a report at the time from nonprofit think tank RAND found the effort was not effective in improving graduation rates or teacher retention rates. So Gates already has had a failed stab at this. What they're trying to do is remove all human element from the educating of our children. When they talk about remote learning, they're phasing teachers out of the education process. You would have machine learning teaching your kids. You would have an AI interface that would be ostensibly your kid's teacher. Schmidt has also previously worked with New York State on education, advising Cuomo on classroom technology, but the move raised concerns that Schmidt's role as current chief executive on Google created a conflict of interest. Well, no shit. He may not be with Google anymore, but he's still with Alphabet. Which I believe gives him a little bit more freedom of movement than what he would have had he still been on the board at Google. Who the fuck elected Gates as the go-to guy for reimagining our lives? Trying to be fine. He did. Trying to be fine. He did. Gates has spent tens of millions easily on a rehabilitation campaign of himself through the media. He called getting involved with vaccines in the first place the best investment he's ever made. The amount of control that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation enjoy during all of this fucking nightmarish mess, it should make people uncomfortable, even if you kind of like the guy. Like, let's say you're one of the 4 people on the planet who has a positive opinion about Bill Gates in general. You should still think that he's overreaching a little bit. Cliff High has some fascinating takes. He proposes these futurists need 3% consent and are now essentially manufacturing it because the revolution takes same amount of discontent. Yeah, there's been a number of studies that say if 3.5% of the population move on one issue, that issue gets handled. So of course they're trying to gin up as much or more consent for the complete and total cessation of all fucking life and liberty and autonomy, because people might have something to say about that. You know, fuck, man. Patriotic me, Eric Schmidt is currently technical advisor to Alphabet and chair of the U.S. DoD's Innovation Advisory Board. Yeah, he is also on the National Security Council for Artificial Intelligence, which is in Whitney's report. By the way, guys, Whitney Webb will be back on the show on Monday morning. That will be fucking incredible. It always is. Some of my favorite episodes of this show, period, have been with Whitney Webb, even though she breaks my brain. Also coming up on the show tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9 o'clock Pacific, noon Eastern, Vanessa Beeley, British journalist who's been living in Syria and covering Syria for a number of years now. She's got some fascinating things to share with us, not only about how the white helmets are involved in COVID-19 pandemic fuckery, but how the U.S. military, how our occupation there has a direct effect on way more shit than you would think in everyday Syrian life. Did you guys know that in Syria they experience forced mandatory power blackouts for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours at a time? I didn't either, and now I do. And so Vanessa will be on. I'm really looking forward to that. She's a fucking fascinating person, and I'm stoked. Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Reverend Annie Chambers returns to Slow News Day. That is going to be fucking awesome. If you guys did not see the first show when the Reverend Annie was on, please go do that, because there's really nothing quite like listening to a 73 or 74-year-old great-grandmother call Jesse Jackson a pimp. So for that alone, please go check that out. I'm trying to look to see if there's any questions in here. Not yet. What else do I have going on this week? I am going to reschedule with Robbie Yeager. I'm going to be on a show on Saturday called Hear Me Out. Yeah. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know a lot about the show. I know some of you watch it and reached out to, I think, Franco, whose show it is. That should be cool. I'm looking forward to that. Sarah, it will be 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. No, Liam, I'm not. That's something that's so fucking ridiculous that it doesn't really bear comment. Suffice it to say, when you're in a movement where the activism centers around something as vital as the proliferation of free speech, and the potential saving of a man's life, there are going to be people who either voluntarily or because they're paid to try to interrupt the progress that you make. And all you can do is keep organizing and keep making an impact. So that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah, I don't know anything about Franco. I don't. I'm gonna look into. Obviously, I'm gonna watch his show before I go on it. But I did already say yes to the interview, so I don't know. I assume that because people in the chat are happy that I'm going on the show, it's gonna be a good time. I had a pretty decent time on Big Talk Little Talk yesterday. That was a good one. we got to talk about for about another like half an hour or 45 minutes, and I believe he said that that was going up on his Patreon. But in case you are not a Patreon member, it's shit you've heard me say before, guy. Like I talked about how the absence of religion on the center and political like left of center, the people have transferred that same energy into political identity. That was not something that the show's host had heard of or thought about before. It's basically like a half an hour of me exploding that dude's brain. It was pretty fun. And I'd like to do that again. Did we have anything else in the queue, Josh? Me either. All right. Well, I have to go pick up my delinquent stepson. So I'm gonna do that. Folks, Action for Assange has been planning a series of teach-ins for quite a while. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it. Now that we have a confirmed date for the second phase of Julian Assange's extradition hearing, we have decided to really fucking buckle down on those. So we're going to be recording our first episode of our teach-in tonight. I would imagine that's going to drop over the weekend. If you are, or if you are in contact with people who run local chapters of activist organizations that aren't necessarily centered around free speech, but have an issue or a cause that they're supporting that is directly impacted by free flow of information, hint, that's all of them, reach out to me, because what A4A would like to do is get a hold of individual chapter heads of activist organizations and get the teach-ins to them so that they can then distribute the teach-ins throughout their mailing list. We think that that will be a really effective way of not just educating people about this issue, but generating asses in the streets for when we return to DC. So if there's something that you do, and there's a cause that you're near and dear to, and you think the people in your own organization would benefit from having a series of teach-ins done about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange and why we need to get together and fucking put a nice show of nonviolent force directly into the halls of power in September, please reach out to me. You can always email me at spsnd@protonmail, or I've got the tweeters, and you can hit me up on there. What did I think about what McAfee said about Assange? I thought it was a pretty cynical take, but we all have those from time to time. I don't personally think that this is the end of Julian Assange in terms of like whether or not we'll see him again. I think we will. In what capacity, I can't say, because I'm not a fucking prognosticator. I as a rule, don't really make predictions. And as an activist, I have to maintain a fucking center of hope about all of this. It's really easy to get cynical about, and it's really easy to like let yourself get dragged down into the doldrums about it. But here's the other thing. Like what we're trying to stop, along with the outright murder of this man, is the end of free speech as we know it, the end of being able to get information off of the internet as we know it. Julian Assange has many times said they're not coming after me, they're coming after all of you through me. So the fight is the fight, and I'm not going to let a prediction by John McAfee get in the way of my activism. I'm not. I thought it was interesting. I thought the whole fucking conversation was interesting. If oh, and God damn it, I didn't stream this on Rockfin. I'm gonna have to upload. Oh no, there it is. Neat. All right. Yeah, I think that's about it, man. I do. Let's see if there's any. If you want to catch the full McAfee interview and you haven't, it is only on my Rockfin. It's up for free, so you don't have to have a Rockfin premium account to see it. You just need to sign up for a Rockfin account, which is no fucking different than you signing up for a YouTube account. If you would like to endorse me on the Rockfin, please do. You'll get access to the premium content, not just mine, but the rest of the creators that are on Free Thinking Media there. Jamaro made a "But I Cover Assange" video. See, yeah, I heard about that. What's funny about that? Let me tell you what's funny about that. And I'm pretty sure that I don't think it's anybody in this chat, because there's not a lot of people in the chat at the moment. But I know that there's like a little Jamarl Thomas rat, you know, that kind of like runs around to see if anybody's ever made a comment about Jamarl before, ever in their fucking lives. And look, in that video, Jamarl tries to say, you know, if you look at my history, you'll see that I've covered Julian Assange. Sure. The last video that I saw that he did about Julian Assange, before he put out a 4-minute fucking whiny video that didn't have anything to do with Julian Assange, by the way, was like 6 months ago. There was no, hey man, this guy is going through the first round of his extradition hearing videos. Prior to that, there were only a handful of videos as well. The criticism that we levied against Jamar Thomas wasn't that you never covered Julian Assange. It was that you have stopped covering Julian Assange because you said, Jamar Thomas, with your own words, this will affect my bottom line. That was the criticism. Not that he had never done it, but that he had stopped. So Jamar being very disingenuous on this. And kind of funny, the day he made that video was the day that they announced that Julian's hearing would begin anew on September 7th. Was there an update about that on his channel? No. Just oh, stop picking on me because I'm doing the thing that you said I did. So don't pick on me. I don't know, dude. I mean, we're all trying to keep our heads above water here, and I understand that because of the way that thought has been monetized on these platforms, that you have to quote unquote obey to a degree. But I don't, and I'm not going to, and it's why my show is suppressed as fuck. And it's what just today, Liz Mueller tried to post. I think it was the episode that I did on Palantir. And once again, Twitter isn't rendering the thumbnails from certain videos. Like, I get that my show is going to get stepped on a little bit, just by the nature of the material that I cover. Every time I go live, it's demonetized. I have to fight to get full monetization back on videos, and it rarely happens. Jason Burmis lost 100% of his monetization. Last American Vagabond lost 100% of their monetization. There have been a number of other shows that have experienced the exact same fucking thing. All of those people, by the way, that I just mentioned, still putting out content, still putting out very, very good content, didn't fucking tuck tail and go, I'll just do 19 Elizabeth Warren videos a day if you fucking, let me keep my money. Let me keep my money. Let me keep my money. I'll talk about Tom Perez for 9 months straight. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to confirm anybody's biases. We're not trying to provide a safe space for disaffected progressives. We're trying to get people activated. We're trying to get people out in the street, and we're trying to make sure that the information that you guys get from us is accurate and hopefully entertaining. I don't know. I mean, fuck, man. Um, can I ask Robbie Yeager about Rockfin's finances? Sure. What about Rockfin's finances? Wait, I'm not real sure what that's about. Like, where did they get their money or something? I don't know. You're gonna have to follow up with me on that. Keep in mind you can only endorse one creator, so anybody you endorse, you get everybody's premium. Yeah, yeah, you do have to pick and choose as to who you endorse. I mean, of course, you know, if I'm being perfectly honest here, I would prefer it was me because I would like to be able to do this full time. I would like to be able to, you know, have this as a profession for a little while. Um, Not that I won't go right back to fucking work. I've already done that this week. But yeah, if it's backed by legitimate sponsors, I'm not sure what that means though. Like if there's advertising money in Rockfin or something like that. I don't know. Um, mm, it's been a long day, Sarah. I'm not sure if I'm entirely understanding the correction question. The question. Well, um, hit me up. I'll put my email address in the chat here real quick, and let me know what you mean, and hopefully I can answer it. I don't know why that went all caps. I apologize. Um, but yeah, uh, I think that's gonna do it. Delinquent 14-year-old. Gotta go. Fucking dude, I swear to God, I love all my kids, and like it's been, you know, it's been over 10 years now. Like he's my kid. He's not my step kid. He's my kid. You know how that shit is, man. Or maybe you don't. Uh, but I remember being 14. I remember being a pain in the ass when I was 14. Um, I remember being way more.
I'm trying to get him back, folks. All right, he crashed, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for coming, everybody.